Okay, so as far as Gen 2 or Gen 3 Pokemon go, the prototype, there's some of them I think I might have figured out, but this is based on what some people have speculated, but I can sort of see the resemblance. So for example, if we look at some of the 25 Pokemon that were actually scrapped, some of them that we were being able to identify, I think at some point all these Pokemon were reused into something else based on their species, and maybe their type advantages were changed a little bit, but a lot of it seems to make sense when you really look at it. So basically, one of them is Rolgan rock from Gen 5. You know, the little rock that had a little hexanut hole in it, and you found it in the caves and all that. So Rolgan rock was kind of like a Pokemon that it talks about how it can learn like rock polish, and it's really because you can't really tell like what it's really thinking because its face looks the same. It would make sense that, you know, it takes pride in its, you know, its appearance. Another Pokemon was Morlu. It was a Pokemon that was supposed to rival Gloom. So it was like based on its stench and all that. So in Gen 7, it was kind of like More as in Morelull, I believe is how you spell it. And basically the Pokemon was supposed to be like a giant plant, kind of like a cactia, but like not a cactus though. But it was a different kind of cactus, I guess you could say. It was still a grass type, basically. Another Pokemon that was possibly scrapped was Bravery. It was supposed to be a hawk Pokemon, but Gen 5 would eventually introduce a hawk, Bravery. Bravery was, the way it mentioned in the Gen 3 Dexter entry, it basically stated that the Pokemon was so strong, it could actually blow the clouds away, and the sun would shine down on the people, kind of like a sun god, sort of. But it wasn't Ho-Oh or anything, you know. Just a Pokemon that was strong, could blow the dust particles right out of the sky. Because if you don't know, dust particles block sunlight, you know, if you didn't know that. So yeah. There's another Pokemon in there. While it doesn't state what it is, it's kind of like it could be a possible relative to Rosala and Roserad, but Roserad wasn't introduced until like Gen 4. And it's possible it could have been Roserad, but at the same time, Rosala was probably like a relative to Rosala. So they probably took that idea and gave it to Roserad in Gen 4. Possibly. Maybe that's where or maybe they just added that later on. But anyway, they were thinking about a lot of grass-type Pokemon in the Hoenn region, because apparently, I know this for a fact, but there's a lot of agricultural. If you look at where the Hoenn region is in Japan, because again, the first 4 gens are based on Japanese regions, I wouldn't be surprised that, you know, they were thinking about a lot of grass types, because there's a lot of like agricultural tropical areas along Japan in that area. So it kind of makes sense in a way. So anyways, there was that. There's also, I'm trying to think. I mean, some of the Pokemon, like, they just had like different types, and maybe they also had like different styles too. Like Rayquaza looked a lot different, but that was a Pokemon they used in the final version. There was also, I'm trying to think. Yeah, they had a lot of Pokemon that were changed based on their type advantages, their height and weight, or maybe even their abilities altogether. But maybe because they were still in the process of developing it, it's very possible that, you know, because it's a beta, you know, they weren't done with it yet, but you could see like where they got a lot of their ideas and finalized it. So they were just kind of adding stuff to it at the time. So I would also go off to say, like, you know, you had like Flabebe. It was actually supposed to be, there's a Pokemon that it doesn't say what its name was, and it doesn't say it's Flabebe exactly, but it's kind of like the idea of Flabebe, where it's a female only, it's a red lily spider, which is in this case, that's not Flabebe's type, but they recycled it into like a bug psychic type, and Flabebe is like supposed to be a bug and I think it's a bug and a grass type, or maybe I'm wrong. I had to double check its type, but it basically is supposed to be like a little pixie that hangs on to the spider, to the red lily. If you don't know, that's what Flabebe is. But instead of it being like a red lily, it's like a white blue color-ish. So it's actually pretty interesting. So I think that's what they did. They recycled Flabebe in that case. Or maybe that might have been where they got the idea for, or one of the ideas. So there's that. There was also, I can't remember what the last three were. Oh yeah, you had, there was another fossil-like Pokemon that was like supposed to be described kind of like Archetype in its evolution. If you don't know, Archetype was that, I don't even know if I'm even spelling it right. Archen as an A-R-C-H-E-N, I think is the first evolution. Yeah, it was the one bird from, it looked like a prehistoric pterodactyl, but it wasn't a pterodactyl. It was like something much smaller. And it was a steel type and a bird type. I think it was a flying and a steel type, kind of like Skarmory, but like instead of it being a Skarmory, it was it was like a, oh god, what colors was it? It was blue. It was sort of yellow. It was Archen, as in Gen 5's fossil. There was a lot of interesting ones, and then it would evolve into Archetype or whatever it was, Archetope. Archen, yeah, like you get what I'm saying. If anybody's ever played Gen 5 and you remember Archetype, it was a very interesting bird type. So that was possible. That was supposed to be in Gen 3. Maybe not as far as its evolution goes, but it was a pretty big bird though. So that's possible. There was that. There was a couple other ones, but I'm trying to remember what they were because I'm trying to do this in like one take without editing all this, but I think I might actually have to because this isn't all of them, but it's just the ones I'm recalling right now. So it's possible that as far as the Pokemon go, that if we were to look at the Dexter entries even further, and again, you can find this in the description if you want to take a look for yourself. There are some Pokemon that I would say were, if they weren't used at some point, they had to have been turned into something else. That's, easily the truth there. You had, let's see, Archetype was used. There was something. Yeah, basically, I think what they did was they probably just decided to move certain Pokemon to certain regions because it would make more sense that way. So Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, especially their numbering order in the National Dexter, especially Gen 4. Look at all the, oh yeah, one of them was another attempt at Yamaga, Yama's evolution, the Dragonfly from Gen 2. But they didn't do it. They tried it in Gen 2's prototype, didn't work. They tried it in Gen 3, didn't work. Gen 4, they finally did it. They finally got it in Gen 4. And so we finally had an evolution for a giant dragonfly called Yamaga, or something like that. And it was a very useful one too. Yeah, so third time's the charm, I guess. So that was another one. There was also another one. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I think we'll just have to come back to it though. So yeah, basically Yamaga was maybe the same height, I believe. Maybe a little bit different. But it was still a massive bug Pokemon. Massive bug dragonfly. So, yeah, anyways, this should just kind of give you some ideas that, these Pokemon mostly came from, like, if they weren't in Gen 3, they would be in Gen 4, Gen 5, possibly Gen 6, Gen 7. Because a lot of these Pokemon, we're still trying to figure out some of them, but it's very possible that's what they could have been. And again, Dexter entries will be in the list below. This is what it was from the Gen 3 source code. See, the funny thing was they had the prototype data for the game, like as far as the Dexter entries, but they don't have the actual sprites. So until we get that, we're not really sure like what they might have looked like. So that's kind of interesting. But we do have proof though that we at least know how many Pokemon were programmed at that time, at least planned for that game. So at least 411 Pokemon. If you don't know, 386 was the final number in Gen 3. Trico all the way up to, was Deoxys or was it Jirachi? What was the last one? Deoxys or Jirachi? Oh yeah, it was Deoxys, wasn't it? Deoxys was 386 and Jirachi was 385. Yeah, I think that's right. So anyways, yeah, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. I'll keep making more videos, but this is what I found so far, and if there's anything else, I will be glad to upload it, and we'll see where it goes.